Today we will be starting from pendulum clock. We have already completed candle clocks and sand clocks, so we will be starting from pendulum clock. So now first understand what's a pendulum. Pendulum is a metal ball which is attached to a stiff string, and that string is freely suspended from any point. Okay, this metal ball is known as bob, and the string which we are using to hold the ball or the bob, it should be very stiff and strong string. It should not be a very thin string, or it should not be very delicate type of thread. This should be very stiff and rigid. Okay. Now this pendulum it swings from one to another place. Means it swings from one position to another and then comes back to that place. So and it is used in especially in clocks. The pendulum, suppose if it was in this position, O position, when you hang a pendulum, you see as it is hanged, it is in the center. Anything when you hang, it will be in the center. It won't be like this or like this. It won't be this way or that way. It will be standing like this, isn't it? So when the pendulum is in at O position, we take the pendulum to position A and then leave it. Okay. When we leave it, what happens? This pendulum goes, we have taken it to this position. Again it moves to certain this position. Again it comes back to this, and then back to this, and it keeps on swaying, swaying or moving, the same thing. So the means suppose if as I said, the pendulum started from O position and again came back to O position after going to A, then to B, and then to O. So that is known as one oscillation of a pendulum. That path, you can say that path taken by the pendulum to move from O, again come back to O, is known as one oscillation. Or to make it more easy for you, if suppose the pendulum is here at position A, it goes to B and then again it comes back to A. So then only we will say that it has completed one oscillation. It's not that the pendulum when it moves from A and comes to B, it's one oscillation. No. The pendulum has moved from the starting point, gone to a certain point, and then came back again to the starting point. That whole path is known as oscillation. And the time taken to complete one oscillation is known as time period. So I hope what's oscillation and what is time period you have understood. Again, the time period is the time taken by the pendulum to complete one oscillation. And one oscillation is the path covered, or the distance covered by the pendulum when it moves from the starting point and it again comes back to the starting point. And this pendulum can be made by you at home also. You can see the different timings also. You simply need any bar, or you can take the handle of your door also. Attach a string to it, and then attach your heavy weight. You can take a lock also. Attach to it. Start from one position as they have started from, suppose A. When you leave it, it will come in the middle. Start from A, let it come to one end, then again go to another end, and then again come back to the middle point. Mark the time it takes to cover from A to A, means A to C to B to A. From here to here, again back to here. Take the time period. You will see, you will get one particular time. Okay. Now, this you have to use a stopwatch. Now you have most of the mobile phones have stopwatch, so you can do that. And or you can do is you suppose in 1 minute you can see how many oscillation, how many it completes. That particular lock completes how many oscillation at a particular length of thread with a particular length of thread. Now, if the length of the thread is increased or decreased, the time taken by the pendulum to complete one oscillation will also change. Means the time taken depends upon with the increase or decrease of the length of the string. Okay, so if you change the length of the string with which that bob is freely suspended, the time or the oscillation period will also, the time period will also change. The time period also increases or decreases. Now the pendulum is a in a pendulum clock swings continuously under the influence of a wound up ring and controls the action of its hands. This you can see in this picture. However, the pendulum is not used. Means in this picture you will not find a pendulum, but this is based on the same principle. And here you have a knob like thing which you have to string it up, which you have to roll it up, and then only this clock will work. It is not on the battery. It's not working on battery, as generally the wall clock which you have in our home, it works on battery. But this clock is not working at home. Not the one which we use at home. It has a key like thing which you have to wind up, and when you wind up that thing, the pendulum works, the pendulum moves, which you can't see. It's not on the face of the clock, it's inside somewhere on that base, and then the hands of the clock move and gives you the time. However, there is the pendulum clock. There was a pendulum clock in the olden days. I'll send you the picture of that. It's not like that. It had a proper pendulum in it. Now, in a mechanical wristwatch, however, pendulum is not used. Now, the wristwatch which we use, here the pendulum system is not used. It has balanced wheel which serves the same purpose as the pendulum and controls the movements of hand. Here also we have knob like thing. You can see it here in the picture. We have to either now it's all battery operated, but before we had to wind it up once in 24 hours. When we winded it up, this wristwatch has some wheels inside it. If you have an old clock, old wristband watch, and if you can see it when you open it up, if you see it, don't you open it yourself, tell your parents to do that. So if you open it, you will see there are different wheels, and then those wheels are balanced at certain there are 2 or 3 wheels and they are balanced together. That balanced wheels control the movement of these hands. Now there are stopwatch and stop clock. The one which you have in mobile are not like this. They just, you can press the button and stop the clock, or press the button and start the clock. But here we have a knob here or here which we can stop or put on the clocks, and these are used in lab and during the sports. This is generally used in lab and this is generally used in sports, but those both can be used. Or you can see this one during some, I suppose, in chess game and all that also they use this type of stop clock. Okay. Now they can be started stopped at the now this one, the one which we use, wristwatches or the wall clocks which we use, we just can't go and put the clock off. Yes, we can put it off by taking out the battery from it. It will stop working. That's a different thing. But here we have to press a button. When we want to start the clock, we'll just press the button. It will start working, and again when we want to stop the clock or the watch, we'll stop them, again press the button and it will stop working, and the time covered during our starting and stopping of the button will give you the time record. Means how much time that experiment has needed to be completed, or how much time that athlete has taken to cover a particular distance. Okay, and this are Means this are very accurate, and they measure up to 1/10 of a second. Now there are different units, so let the units of time. Very means when the civilization started and everything, we means the from one noon to the next noon, means suppose 12 o'clock or 12 noon. When is 12 noon? They didn't have, remember, they didn't have watch at that time. So how did they come to know when it is noon? When the shadow was the shortest, they knew that it was noon. From that time to the next day, means again the time went on and the sun set and again rose up, and again next day they had the same noon when the shadow was shortest. That was known as a solar day. Okay, this solar day was divided into 24 equal parts, and each part was known as an hour. So now also we have one day, and it is known as 1 hour, and the one day is divided into 24 hours. It's the same thing. Now 1 hour was again divided into 60 equal division, and these equal divisions were known as a minute. Now each minute is again divided into 60 equal seconds, 60 equal division, and that is known as a second. And the duration from one sunset to sunrise is called night, and it is a part of solar day. Now this, so what we conclude, one solar day 24 hours, 1 hour 60 minute, 1 minute 60 second. Okay, so one solar day will be how many seconds? 24 into 60 into 60. Why? 24 is the hours. In 24, one solar day is when 24 hours. Now if you want to convert it into minutes, we'll multiply with 60. Again, further if you want to multiply with convert into seconds, we'll multiply again into seconds, into 60, and it will have this much seconds, or 1 second will be this much of a solar day. Now the night, what they are talking about, from the sunset to the